Ansel Rothschild once said, "Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws." He said that in 1790, and in 1791, the establishment of the first bank of the United States took place. Today we're going to talk about the implications of that statement and why it's more relevant today than ever before.
How do I bring my faith to work? How do I tap into the power of God in my work-life call? Why am I going through this adversity? Is God mad at me? I'm Os Hillman, and I've been helping leaders like you answer these questions and more for over 30 years. That's what this podcast is all about. Let's learn and grow together. Welcome to TGIF, Today God is First.
Decentralize or centralize. There are two terms we're hearing more and more of about today in the financial markets: centralization and decentralization. We're hearing these terms related to the financial markets and more specifically, the crypto markets. Centralization of the financial markets means the financial markets like stock trading, banking, and investments are regulated by groups like the SEC or the FDIC, supposedly to protect you, the consumer. Now, decentralization refers to the fact Bitcoin and other related crypto markets have no regulation by banks or governments. Crypto traders believe it is a means of protecting one's assets from the overreach of government. Countries, and especially the U.S., are beginning to implement plans to address their inability to regulate decentralized platforms. However, this may be harder to do than they think. Decentralization is happening worldwide and cannot be controlled by one country, but that doesn't mean they won't try. CBDCs, or central bank digital currency, is one solution by government to level the playing field by exerting more control over the population. CBDCs are being introduced around the world, and we can expect them to be introduced in the U.S. unless citizens revolt against it. Unfortunately, when these things are presented, they will be sold to us on the basis of convenience and protection of your safety. I fear that the general population will be fooled into thinking these are good things versus greater efforts to control the population by the elites. I'll discuss CBDCs more in later in this talk. We're seeing an ever-increasing effort by the Biden administration to exert more control over the population through policies designed to limit our freedom. Need some examples? Well, how about the COVID crisis? When COVID hit America, the government used this to lock down businesses and schools and limited access. If you did not prove you'd been vaccinated, you couldn't travel, you couldn't do certain things, you might not even do your business if you didn't have people vaccinated to come into your business. A Whole Foods store in Washington, D.C. requires you to provide a barcode to shop in their store. Amazon has a number of test stores that do not require clerks because you provide them your financial info before you get into the store, and your purchases are made with a barcode from your phone. You do your own bagging of your groceries. All of this will be presented as a way to make things more convenient in exchange for your privacy and control over your ability to buy and sell. Or there will be a crisis that would be a reason to adopt these new technologies as a premise for, quote, your protection, unquote. The old adage from Winston Churchill said, "Never let a crisis go to waste." This has become the playbook for the left in our country today. If you want to read the end of the chapter, just go to Revelation 13 to see where all of this is going to lead. Let's talk about the impact of the printing press on decentralization in society. It's one of the first examples of decentralization in a society. The invention of the printing press by Johann Gutenberg in the 15th century had a significant impact on society, particularly in Europe, which led to the first major decentralization of power from the elites, most notably the religious leaders of that day. I'll discuss that in a minute. Here are some ways the printing press influenced society at the time and within 50 years afterwards. 1. The spread of ideas. The printing press made it possible to reproduce written materials quickly and accurately, which led to the spread of ideas and knowledge throughout Europe. This facilitated the growth of humanism, the Renaissance, and the Reformation. Number 2, it increased literacy. The availability of books at affordable prices increased literacy rates across Europe as more people could access and read printed materials. This created a demand for education and led to the establishment of schools and universities. Number 3, standardization of language. The printing press helped standardize the written form of languages, making it easier to communicate across different regions and countries. This led to the development of national languages and facilitated the spread of literature and culture. Number 4, economic impact. The printing press contributed to the growth of the book industry, creating job opportunities for printers, publishers, and bookbinders. It also enabled the mass production of books, reducing the cost of production and making books more affordable. Number 5 is political impact. The availability of printed materials led to the dissemination of political ideas, facilitating the growth of democracy and emergence of the modern nation state. Overall, the printing press had a profound impact on society, revolutionizing the way information was disseminated and paving the way for modern communication and knowledge-sharing technologies. Let's look at how the printing press played a role in decentralizing society from the clergy elites. Well, the printing press played a crucial role in this regard. Access to information led to books and manuscripts that were expensive and time-consuming to produce, but this made them exclusive to the clergy and the wealthy. The printing press allowed the mass production of books, making them more affordable and accessible to the general public. This increased access to the information and challenged the monopoly of the clergy on knowledge and ideas, allowing ordinary people to acquire knowledge and make informed decisions. It led to a dissemination of ideas. The printing press enabled the dissemination of ideas and information more rapidly than before. This allowed people to read, discuss, and debate different ideas and viewpoints, creating a more diverse and open society. This challenged the monopoly of the clergy on knowledge and ideas, as people were able to engage with a broader range of opinions and perspectives. It challenged religious authority. The printing press allowed for the production and distribution of religious texts outside the control of the clergy, who had previously been the gatekeepers of religious knowledge. This challenged the authority of the clergy, as people were able to read and interpret religious texts for themselves without relying on the interpretation of the clergy. Another thing it did is it allowed emergence of new ideas. The printing press facilitated the spread of new ideas, particularly during the Renaissance and Reformation periods, which challenged traditional religious and political authority. This led to the emergence of new political, social, and cultural ideas that challenged the status quo and the monopoly of the clergy on ideas. Overall, the printing press contributed significantly to the first decentralizing society from the control of the clergy elites by increasing access to information, disseminating new ideas, and challenging religious and political authority. So let's talk a little bit about where we are in our culture today, especially in the area of digital currency in the world of finance. Let me give you a little beginner's primer on the digital market. You might be new to this area and don't understand this market yet. and I apologize for those of you who are well versed, but I want to be sensitive to those of you who this is still new to you. Let's begin by introducing you to Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created in 2009 by an anonymous person or group of people using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency that operates on a peer-to-peer network without a central authority. Transactions are verified by network nodes through cryptography and recorded on a public ledger called the blockchain. Bitcoin's early adopters were primarily tech enthusiasts and libertarians who were attracted to its decentralized and anonymous nature. Bitcoin has since gained mainstream acceptance, has been used for a variety of purposes, including online purchases, investments, and as a store of value. The railroad used to buy and sell Bitcoin, and all crypto is called blockchain. Blockchain is the underlying technology that powers Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. A blockchain is a distributed digital ledger that records transactions in a secure and transparent way. The first blockchain was created in 2008 as a part of the Bitcoin network. Blockchain technology has since been adopted by a large range of industries beyond finance, including supply chain management, voting systems, and identity verification. The decentralized nature of blockchain makes it resistant to fraud and hacking, and its transparency makes it a useful tool for promoting trust and accountability in a variety of settings. In summary, Bitcoin and blockchain technology have emerged as important innovations in the world of finance and technology, offering decentralized, secure, and transparent solutions to a variety of problems. Now, there have been some discussions about whether Bitcoin is a commodity or a trading currency. The classification of Bitcoin as a commodity is a topic of debate and depends on the context and jurisdiction. In the United States, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission has classified Bitcoin as a commodity under the Commodity Exchange Act since 2015. This means that Bitcoin is subject to the same regulatory framework as the other commodities like gold, silver, and oil. However, in other countries such as the European Union, Bitcoin is not officially classified as a commodity. Instead, it's often considered a digital asset or a currency. It's worth noting that the classification of Bitcoin as a commodity or not has significant implications for its regulation and taxation. For example, if Bitcoin is classified as a commodity, it may be subject to regulations governing the trading of commodities and may be subject to taxes on capital gains or losses from its sale. On the other hand, if it's not classified as a commodity, it may be subject to different regulations and tax treatments. Bitcoin is not widely accepted as a currency for making payments in most countries yet. However, there are some countries where Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have gained more widespread acceptance as a form of payment. One country that has been particularly friendly towards Bitcoin is El Salvador, which became the first country in the world to make Bitcoin legal tender in September of 2021. This means that businesses in El Salvador are required to accept Bitcoin as payment, along with the U.S. dollar, which is also legal tender in the country. Other countries where Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are relatively popular include El Salvador. As I mentioned, in September 2021, it became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. The Ukraine in 2020. The Ukrainian government announced plans to legalize and regulate cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, and to create a legal framework for using them as payment methods. Venezuela. Inflation and economic instability led some Venezuelans to turn to Bitcoin as a way to store value and make payments. The government has also launched its own cryptocurrency, the petro, which is backed by the country's oil reserves. Nigeria. In Nigeria, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have become popular as a way to send and receive money across borders, bypassing traditional banking channels. Japan. Bitcoin was officially recognized as a form of payment in Japan in 2017, and since then, several major retailers and businesses have started accepting it as a payment method. There are now apps and debit cards that allow you to pay bills using your crypto wallet. One is called Spritz, and there are debit cards that can be used by converting your crypto to fiat currency. Crypto.com is one of the leading organizations offering a Visa card for this purpose, but there are many crypto exchanges that offer their own Visa debit cards. It's worth noting that in most countries, including the ones listed above, Bitcoin is not widely accepted as a payment method by businesses and consumers. However, its adoption as a payment method may increase in the future as more people become familiar with cryptocurrencies and more businesses start accepting them. So next week, we'll talk about the growth of Bitcoin vending machines and the role that decentralization financial systems playing more today, and the ramifications of decentralization and what the elites are doing to try to block this whole area of decentralization. So this may be a new area for you, but I got involved in crypto about 2 years ago, and it's been very fascinating. And, I got frustrated with the bank rates of 2 to 4% paying on my certificate of deposit, and it's just ridiculous what they pay out. So I kept looking for ways to increase my return on my investments. And I found a number of them in the crypto space, but some of them turned out to be scams. But I found some good ones, and that's what I want to give you some information that check out on something called Crypto Program that I'm making 25% a month from this program. We did a webinar on it at 818, the number 818, cryptoprogram.me. That's 818 cryptoprogram.me, like me. You'll find a webinar there that will discuss how this program works and how you can get involved. I've been involved since March of 2023, and I've already gotten my principal back from what I've put in. It might be something for you, but this is considered risk capital. Don't ever put money into something in the risk capital area that you can't afford to lose. And that's the wild, wild west of crypto today. You may win really big, but there's always a risk of losing it too. So be careful, pray, ask for God's wisdom, and I'll see you next week. God bless.